When people talk about the greatest rappers of all time, the conversation usually centers around sales, awards, or longevity. Big L doesn't win those arguments on paper. He didn't have a decade-long run. He didn't flood the radio. He didn't get a chance to reinvent himself. But hip-hop isn't only about numbers. It's also about skill, influence, and respect, especially from other elite MCs. And by those standards, Big L stands comfortably among the greatest. This is a realistic look at why Lamont Coleman, aka Big L, earned legendary status within limited time, limited exposure, and an unmatched pen. He was raised on 139th Street and Lenox Avenue in Harlem, 1974. By the time he was a teenager, Harlem was already deep in the crack era. Violence was normal, hustling was common, and survival came first. Rap in that environment wasn't just entertainment. It was about reputation. If you couldn't rap, you were quiet. If you could rap, but you weren't nice, you were checked. Harlem did not reward hype, it rewarded skill. If you listen to most of Big L's songs, you'll notice that he did not rely on hooks and melodies. He was basically a bar god. That's why his verses still get replayed, studied, and quoted decades later.
I was doing an autograph signing in this record store on 125th Street called Rockin' Well. I was doing mixtapes in there. That's where I met Buck Wild. So I'm doing an autograph signing. This dude comes in, him and his man. He comes in, but L was too cool. I'm gonna send my man over. Yo, my dude wanna rhyme for you. He's nice. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm gonna give him my manager's number. If my manager say he's nice, then I work with him. He came and when he rhymed for me, I've never heard a cat at that age that polished. Of course, there was a lot of things he needed to work on, but for that age, had to be 16 or 17, he was sharp.
In 1992, Big L stepped on one of the toughest stages in music, the Apollo Theater. Amateur night at the Apollo had a reputation. If the crowd didn't like you, they made it known immediately. It either made you or broke you. Big L didn't get booed, he actually won, and that moment mattered because it showed that he wasn't just a corner rapper. He could command a hostile crowd and walk away respected.
I remember the first time Lord Finesse ever brought out Big L.
Was it the Apollo?
Yes, it was. It was a Wednesday.
All right.
That was the night when they it was like amateur night.
Right.
And I remember Lord Finesse just bringing him out. And I remember it like it was yesterday, man. He said, yo, I'm gonna bring my homie, my guy here, he's nice. And Lord Finesse was so nice.
Crazy.
So it was like whoever he was bringing, I was like, God, I hope this dude can
rhyme, right? Because
Yeah.
Lord Finesse, you already Lord Finesse, so who gonna come after him, right?
Oh, and then bodied it. Big L bodied it.
The biggest thing in the world.
He
He scared me to death. Yo, when I heard that on tape, I was scared to death.
In 1995, Big L released his debut album, Lifestylez of the Poor and Dangerous. It was a play on Robin Leach's Lifestylez of the Rich and Famous, but it was told from a street perspective. Realistically, it was not a commercial success. It did not dominate radio. It didn't even produce a crossover hit. And those facts matter when telling the full story. But the album was worth its weight in gold. Artistically, the album was a clear statement of identity. Big L did not romanticize the streets, but he also didn't sanitize it. His perspective was more observational, sometimes cold, other times human, but always controlled. The album suffered from limited promotion, label issues, and an industry that wasn't fully prepared to push an uncompromising lyricist without smoothing the edges. Many rappers during that era had that same issue. Over time, the album aged exceptionally well. What once felt too aggressive or too raw for the time became respected for its honesty, precision, and influence. Today, the album is widely viewed as a cult classic, particularly among MCs, producers, and fans who prioritize lyricism. One of the strongest indicators of Big L's success is how other rappers responded to him. In freestyle sessions, radio appearances, and collaborations, Big L consistently matched or outperformed artists who had already had major label backing and national recognition. When Big L featured on a track, the dynamics changed. It stopped being a song and became a contest. There was no hierarchy once the beat dropped.
And you know, I always tell a story that when we recorded the song The Enemy, Primo did the beat, we was in D&D. Big Al was like, yo man, you went gold. I'ma rip you down on this fucking song right here, man. I'm taking your 500,000 fans, nigga. I'ma kill you on this song. I'm like, yo, this nigga Al is fucking crazy, man.
That reputation followed him through word of mouth. In hip hop, that kind of respect cannot be manufactured. You have to earn that through skill. Big L wasn't feared because of his image. He was respected because he can rap better than most people in the room. His debut album released in 1995, and he was shot and killed in 1999. From an industry standpoint, that isn't a long run, and therefore his discography was not extensive. At the age of 24, February 15th, 1999, Big L was killed in a drive-by shooting. He was shot multiple times in the face and chest. In May of 1999, Gerard Woodley, a childhood friend of Big L, was arrested and charged. Prosecutors dropped the charges months later due to insufficient evidence. After Big L's death in 1999, several posthumous albums were released, providing a glimpse into the artist he was becoming. The Big Picture, released in 2000, some say it was the most significant. The album showcased Big L's growth as an MC. His delivery was sharper, his punchlines were more refined, and his storytelling was much more confident. Tracks like Ebonics and Flamboyant highlighted not only his technical skill, but also a sense of direction. He was evolving. He was sounding much better.
Big L was a cold
monster, yeah.
Cold.
Incredible.
I remember cold. Going to pick. I had just bought a Honda Accord, brand new. This is early in my career. Like I just was starting to get my bones.
Right.
And so I went and picked him up in Harlem. Right. I had 2 cassettes of beats. Right. From our journey, when I put the tape in, he started to rhyme and never stopped. He just rapped the whole time. I lied to y'all not.
Wow. He's Big L.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm playing
L.
beats. I got beats. I'm P-Rock. I got beats. I'm playing cassettes full of beats.
Later compilations, including Harlem's Finest, A Freestyle History, and The Archives, brought together unreleased verses, guest appearances, and rare freestyles. They revealed consistency across time. No matter when a verse was recorded, Big L's bars were dense, clever, and commanding. These posthumous projects reinforced what fans already knew. Big L was more than a one-album talent. He was an artist whose full potential was never fully reached or realized, but whose influence remained unmistakable. Together, these releases show a trajectory of an artist refining his craft.
You know, Big L, definitely was on his way to being one of the greatest.
I think, yeah, man.
You know, people already look at him that way, and, he's been dead all these years, you know what I mean? Especially that one freestyle session he had with Jay-Z on the Stretch Armstrong show.
Mm-hmm. Stretch and Bobby, yeah.
He kind of handled Jay-Z up there.
Wow, okay, I gotta read. And then he was supposed to be signed to Rockefeller.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, what can you say? Lamont, definitely one of the best lifestyles of the
Poor and Dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous, right? Then the second album, The Big Picture, that wound up going gold, and he wasn't even here to see that.
And all the indie stuff he did.
Because Big L didn't oversaturate the market, his music avoided becoming tied to a specific era. He became the reference point for today's MCs. Although he didn't live long enough to see his reputation grow, his name still comes up in serious hip-hop conversations. He may not be in your top 10 list of MCs, or even your top 50, but inevitably, he influenced some of those MCs in your list.